She had no idea I was watching. The lights were off. I sat there in the living room, still as a shadow. Just me, and the relentless tick of the wall clock. 3:06 a.m. That's when I heard the key scrape against the lock. She walked in with that half-drunken sway that didn't even try to hide the guilt. Heels dangling from one hand. Phone clutched tight in the other. Her lips, smeared, like they'd been wiped off in a hurry. Hair a tangled wreck. No, wrecked. And her jacket slipped off one shoulder like it had simply been forgotten. Jessica. I didn't move. Didn't speak. Just sat and waited. She breezed through the door like everything was fine. Like I hadn't texted her 3 hours ago, and all I got back was "love you, babe. Don't wait up," with a little red heart. Now here she was, whispering into her phone, giggling. Then, click. The screen went black the moment she crossed the threshold. Still blind to me. She walked right past, right by me, and that was the first cut. Like I didn't even exist. She smelled of sweet perfume and sweat, and something darker, something that made my stomach curl in ways I couldn't even name. She kicked off her heels, wandered toward the hallway. Then I flipped the light on. She jolted like a gunshot had cracked the silence. Whirled around, and her face said it all before she could conjure a single lie. Eyes blown wide, throat stiff, fingers clenched around her phone like it might save her. "Oh my God, Matt, you scared me," she spat. Her voice already sharp, like I was the one who'd crossed a line. I rose slowly. "Where were you?" She blinked, brushed back her hair, didn't answer right away. "Out," she said at last. "With the girls." "I told you." "Told me what?" I stepped in closer. "You said Melissa's. Her birthday. You'd be home by 1. She rolled her eyes. "So what? You tracking me now?" "Jesus, Matt. I lost track of time. I was drinking. God forbid I have fun for once." For once. That one cut deeper. I saw it then. Just a flicker, buried under her irritation. A flash of panic. I took another step. "You said you were with Melissa." I pulled out my phone. She posted a story. 12:11 a.m. She's home. In pajamas. Alone. Jessica's mouth parted, then snapped shut. I could see the glitch, like a machine short-circuiting, sparks flying behind her eyes as she scrambled for a lie. "She left early," she blurted. "I stayed with Britt." Britt posted at 1:30. I said. "Alone. At home." I tilted my head. "You want to try again? Or just keep insulting me?" Her jaw tightened. Then, this sharp, hollow laugh burst out, brittle and cruel, like I'd missed the punchline of some twisted joke. "Oh my God. Are you stalking my friends now? What the hell is wrong with you?" She tried to push past me, but I stepped in front of her. "I saw your texts, Jess." That froze her. "What?" I held up her old phone, the one she used to stash in her gym bag. The one she forgot about after upgrading last month. Still synced to her cloud. I saw everything. She didn't move. Didn't blink. Then I said the name. The one that showed up in over 40 messages, sent at 2 a.m. last Friday. And her silence said it all. No denial. No shock. Just this slow, cold smirk, like I was late to my own downfall. That's when it hit me. She wasn't sorry. She was daring me to care. That silence, after I said his name. Ryan. It won't stop replaying. Not the lies. Not the vanishing acts. Not even that mocking little laugh. Just that stillness. Her standing there in a wrinkled black dress, skin flushed from whatever she'd just done with him. And that smirk. Like it was all a game. Like I was a joke. And the worst part? I wasn't even angry. I wanted to be. I wanted to yell, throw something, smash a lamp, fall apart. But I didn't. I just felt. Quiet. Hollow. Like a chair with all 4 legs kicked out, crumpled on the floor. "So what now?" she asked. Arms folded. Hip cocked like this was some boardroom negotiation instead of the brutal collapse of everything we'd built. "You gonna throw a tantrum? Kick me out?" I had to look away. Because if I hadn't, I think I would have screamed. "How long?" I asked. She rolled her eyes. She rolled her eyes. "Does it even matter?" That was her answer. Flat. Detached. Like none of it meant anything anymore. I stepped back. Set the phone down on the table. Carefully, because if I kept holding it, I was going to break something. My voice was steady, but barely. "Tell me how long." She sighed. Like I was exhausting. "A few months. Maybe more. It was supposed to be just a hookup, but I don't know. He actually listens to me." That one, cut deep. He listens to me. I didn't even know what to do with that. Like I hadn't been the one who sat through every midnight spiral. Every rant about her job, her family, her fears about turning 30. Like I hadn't stayed up until 2 in the morning helping her rewrite her resume, or stood outside Target for 2 hours because she couldn't decide which curtain set felt more adult. I listened. For years. But sure, Ryan. The guy with a leased Dodge Charger and a part-time gig as a brand consultant. He listens. I finally asked, so that's it? She shrugged. I don't know. I didn't plan on telling you like this. No apology. No remorse. Just this chilly indifference, like she was canceling a lunch meeting. And then, she actually said it. Honestly, I thought you'd cheat on me first. I froze. What? You've been so distant, she said. Like I'd done something to push her away. You don't even try anymore. I mean, look at you. I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was absurd. Delusional. I'd been chasing her for a year. Begging for connection. Dates. Compliments. Just trying to be seen. She was the one who stopped answering texts. Who stopped reaching out. Who stopped saying goodnight. And now I was the villain? For not groveling hard enough? She wandered into the kitchen, opened the fridge like we hadn't just shattered our whole world. Grabbed a bottle of water. Took a sip. Then looked at me like I was the intruder here. Are you leaving? She asked, dead serious. You want me to? She shrugged. I mean, what else are we gonna do? Sit here and cry about it. I nodded. Slowly. Then I turned and walked upstairs. Grabbed a bag. Threw in a few clothes. My charger. And as I passed the bedroom, there it was. The earring she'd lost earlier. It was on my nightstand. The earring, lying right next to the photo of us on our wedding day. I left them both there. She didn't follow me. Didn't call out. Didn't say a word. The silence in the car was deafening. Louder than every fight we'd ever had. I sat in the driveway for 23 minutes. Engine off. Not moving. Not even breathing, really. Just staring at the dashboard. Hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my fingers trembled. Her perfume still clung to my clothes. From when I hugged her before she left for her so-called girls' night. That same scent, now sour in my nose. Artificial. Clawing. I didn't cry. Not then. I just sat there thinking, that's it? That's how it ends. Not with a scream. Not a slammed door. Just a shrug. Just that blank stare when she said, "Are you leaving?" Like it didn't matter either way. I didn't even know where I was headed. Nate, my brother, lives 30 minutes out, so I drove that direction. No warning. No call. Just showed up. Bag in hand. Face numb. He opened the door in gym shorts and a hoodie, blinking like I was a ghost. Matt, you good? No, I said. And that's when it all cracked. I didn't yell. Didn't rage. I sank. Right there in his entryway. Dropped the bag. Slid down the wall. And the words just spilled out between shallow, broken breaths. She cheated on me. He didn't ask for details. Didn't press. Just sat beside me. For 20 minutes, we said nothing. And that silence, that stillness, was the first moment I felt safe all night. Later, after the storm passed through me, I told him everything. How I caught her. What she said. The laugh. The smirk. That damn smirk. Like she was proud. Like I had it coming. Nate didn't say much. Just listened. Nodded. But his eyes, they burned. Like he wanted to smash something on my behalf. She's a garbage person, bro, he said finally. Always has been. You just loved her too much to see it. And I hated how true that felt. I crashed on his couch that night. Didn't sleep. Just lay there in the dark, eyes tracing the slow spin of the ceiling fan. Her voice still echoing in my head. I didn't plan on telling you like this. He actually listens to me. What? You're clocking me now. Those words looped in my head as I thought back. Every time I ignored my gut. The stories that didn't quite add up. The forced smiles that never made it to her eyes. The sudden fights, picked out of nowhere, just so she could storm out with a reason. She wanted this. She needed an excuse. And Ryan? Ryan was just the idiot who handed her one wrapped in cheap cologne and a hoodie. Around 5 a.m., I opened her cloud account again. I shouldn't have. I already knew too much. But I did it anyway. More texts. More pictures. A video, his apartment. Her, in his hoodie. Laughing. Sitting on his lap. Flipping off the camera like some high school rebel. The caption? Your wife says hi, bro. I locked the phone. My chest tightened. Actually hurt. Like someone had reached inside and clenched a fist around my lungs. I wanted to hurl the phone into the wall. Shatter it. But I didn't. I needed the evidence now. She wanted to play games? Fine. Let's see how she handles it when the rules aren't rigged in her favor anymore. I didn't go home the next day. No text. No call. Just silence. Let her stew in it. Let her wonder. Because it finally hit me. She never thought I'd leave. She thought I'd fall apart. Beg. Maybe even apologize. That's who Jessica is. The kind of person who cheats, lies, then spins the whole thing so fast, you end up wondering if it was somehow your fault. And I let her. For too long, I let her. Made excuses for her moods. Justified her distance. Gave her every last benefit of the doubt, until I had nothing left to give. But that version of me, he's gone. By mid-morning, the call started. First one, 10:13 a.m. I let it ring. Then the texts poured in. Where are you? I just want to talk. Can you please not be dramatic about this? Dramatic. That word almost sent my phone sailing through Nate's window. By 1 p.m., she shifted gears. I didn't mean to hurt you. It didn't mean anything. Can we please talk like adults? No apology. No ownership. Just spin control. She wasn't sorry she did it. Just sorry she got caught. I didn't respond. That evening, I called a lawyer. Nate gave me a referral. Someone who doesn't flinch at messy. I didn't know exactly what I was doing, just that I had to begin. We didn't have kids, but we had a house, joint accounts, a dog, and now, all of it mattered in ways it never had before. I told the lawyer everything, laid it out without flinching. He listened in silence, then asked, "Do you have proof?" I sent him the synced messages, the photos, the video. He didn't even blink. "She's sloppy," he said. "We'll make this clean." And just like that, something inside me clicked back into place. Not fixed, but aligned. I wasn't helpless. I wasn't broken. I was angry. And now that anger had a direction. That night, I drove back to the house. Not to talk. Not to make peace. I waited until I knew she was at work. Because of course she went in like nothing had happened. And then I let myself in. The place felt alien. Like walking into someone else's life. Our crooked wedding photo still on the hallway table. Her favorite coffee mug sitting in the sink. That dumb lavender candle she always lit to decompress, half melted on the counter like time had just kept marching without me. Upstairs, I opened the bedroom closet. There it was, Orion's hoodie, hanging bold and untouched like some kind of prize. I didn't touch it. Didn't need to. I packed what was mine. Clothes. Essentials. Took only what I'd earned. Left the rest. But before I walked out, I did one final thing. On the kitchen table, I left a manila envelope. Inside, printed screenshots of every message, every photo, a USB with the video. And on the front, in black ink, just one sentence. "This is the last time you lied to me." No threats. No apologies. No drama. Just a mirror. Let her look. Let her see. As I closed the door behind me, I didn't feel relief. Or triumph. I felt clarity. She torched the bridge. All I did was make sure she couldn't crawl back over the ashes. It took her 27 hours to respond to that envelope. 27 hours of silence after 9 years together. That's how long it took her to realize I was really gone. Not just out of the house, but out of reach. I didn't leave with a bang. I didn't beg. I didn't scream. I left with proof. And that's what made me dangerous. The message came through at 7:19 p.m., 2 nights later. I was still crashing at Nate's, picking at dinner I couldn't eat, my stomach too knotted to keep anything down. Then it came in. The text I'll never forget. Word for word. "Wow. Real mature, Matt. After everything, this is how you handle it? You think you're better than me now? You're pathetic." No apology. No remorse. Just flames. I stared at it for a long second, then laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was so expected. Like watching someone who's never heard "no" finally realize the rules apply to them too. 3 minutes later, another one. "You don't even know the full story. But whatever. Run to your brother. Hide behind your little lawyer. You always were spineless." There it was. The real Jessica. Not the filtered, smiling, Instagram wife version. Not the girl's night charmer. No, this was her. The one only I'd ever seen flashes of. The one I always made excuses for. She's stressed. She's under pressure. She's just going through something. No, she was just like this all along. And now, the mask was gone. And people like her, they hate being seen. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. The next day, she sent a photo of Cooper, our dog, curled on the couch, eyes drooping like he missed me. No caption. Just guilt in JPEG form. As if I hadn't been aching for him since the second I walked out. As if she hadn't used that dog as a stage prop for every perfect wife moment she needed to manufacture on holidays or parties. I loved Cooper like a child. But I wasn't going to let her turn him into a weapon. I called my lawyer. We need to make a note, I said. She's escalating. No, he corrected. She's unraveling. Keep the messages. Don't respond. Then, out of nowhere, Melissa messaged me. Yeah, that Melissa. We were never close. She always looked at me like I was the boring guy weighing Jess down. But this time, her tone had shifted. Matt, I didn't know how bad it got. I'm sorry. I thought it was just flirting. I didn't know she was seeing someone else behind your back. I didn't respond to her either, because none of them were sorry when it counted. I was done entertaining people who only cared once the truth got loud enough to make them uncomfortable. That night, Jess called. First time since I left. I let it ring. Straight to voicemail. She didn't leave a voicemail the first 3 times. Just called, then again, and again, and again. Finally, on the 4th try, she left one. Matt, I don't know what you want from me. I messed up, okay? But you're really just gonna walk away from everything? You think this makes you strong? It doesn't. It makes you cold. Cold. That word landed, and it stayed. Because I wasn't cold. I was numb. And the difference? She made that happen. Sunday morning, she showed up. No warning. No message. Just appeared, like a ghost from a life I'd already started burying. I was in the garage with Nate, digging through boxes of junk he swore he'd tossed 5 years ago. Then we heard it. Not the doorbell. A knock. Soft. Rhythmic. Controlled. Polite. Calculated. The kind of knock someone uses when they're stepping into unknown territory. Nate opened the door. I followed close behind. And there she was. Jessica, standing on the porch with her designer tote slung over one shoulder. Full face of makeup like she was heading to brunch, not standing in the wreckage of her marriage. She looked composed. Too composed. Calm face. But her eyes, they were darting. Twitching. Calculating. She wasn't here for closure. She was here for control. Hi. She chirped, like we were old neighbors. Like none of it had happened. Nate didn't budge. Didn't say a word. Just adjusted his stance, subtly blocking the doorway. Her eyes found mine. Matt, can we talk? I didn't answer. Just stared. What was left to say? Please, she added. Just 5 minutes. I nodded once. Stepped past Nate. Out into the driveway. She followed. I stopped in the sunlight. She stayed in the shade. Felt symbolic. I didn't come to fight, she said first. Then what did you come for? She looked down. Bit her lip. One of her old tricks, the kind she used when she wanted something. To explain, she said. To try. I guess, she said. You had your chance, I replied. And you used it to call me spineless. She flinched, barely, but I caught it. I was angry. No, I said. You weren't sorry. You were exposed. Silence. I didn't mean for it to get this far. Ryan wasn't supposed to be. Jessica, stop. She blinked. Don't rewrite this like it was some kind of accident, I said. You made decisions. You chose him. Over and over. So don't stand here acting like you tripped and fell into it. Her arms crossed. Jaw clenched. You weren't perfect either. I laughed. Sharp. Cold. Right. That's where we're going now. I didn't cheat, Jess. You disappeared. And then, she snapped. You've been checked out for years. Always working. Always tired. Like I wasn't even there. I looked at her. Really looked. You know what the worst part of all this is? I said, voice low. You're not even sorry. You're just pissed you lost control. Her mouth opened. Then closed. Nothing. You lied to me, Jess. Again. And again. And now you want to talk? Because it got inconvenient? Because you think I'm about to ruin your image? Still no response. So I kept going. I gave you everything. My time. My loyalty. My silence. And you gave it all to a guy who couldn't even spell commitment. Her face twisted. You think you're better than me now? No, I said. I've always been better than how you treated me. She stepped back, like the words hit her in the chest. I loved you, she whispered, voice cracking for the first time. No, Jess. You loved being adored. And with that, I turned and walked back into the house. She didn't follow. Didn't knock again. I stood at the window and watched her sit in her car for 5 long minutes before she finally drove off. She didn't cry. Didn't even look upset. She just stared out the windshield, already rewriting the script in her head, already casting herself as the victim in the next version of the story. But I didn't care anymore. Let her spin it. The truth was already free, and the next few days were quiet. Too quiet. Not the peaceful kind, the kind that hums under your skin like static. With Jessica, that feeling usually meant one thing. She was regrouping, rewriting, rebranding. I stayed off social media. Nate didn't. Tuesday afternoon, he walked into the kitchen with his phone in one hand and that tight, warning look on his face. "You need to see this," he said. It was a Facebook post, her Facebook. A filtered selfie of her and Cooper curled up on the couch. His face pressed against her like he knew exactly how to pose for pity. The caption? "Sometimes the people you trust most hurt you in ways you never imagined. Trying to stay strong, broken heart." I stared at the screen, waiting for it to make sense. It didn't. Somehow, she'd twisted herself into the victim. In a story where she had struck the match. Thousands of likes. Dozens of comments. "You don't deserve this. Sending you strength, babe. If you need anything, I'm here. Men are trash." One even wrote, "He never looked happy in photos anyway." I had to put the phone down. Had to breathe. She wasn't just rewriting the story. She was erasing me from it. I wasn't the husband who gave her everything. I was the cold, distant villain who left her broken. It might have been funny if it wasn't so disgusting. But I stayed quiet. Let it go. Because the truth? It was still on my side. And I wasn't about to sling mud in the comments like some reality TV extra. No. My response would come in the form of finality. That evening, I met with my lawyer again. We started the paperwork. I gave him everything. The timeline. The messages. The cloud backup. The video. And then, I signed the initial divorce filing. The pen felt heavier than it should have. Like each signature was cutting loose a version of the life I thought I'd still be living. It hurt, but it also healed. When I stepped out of the office, I checked my phone. 2 missed calls from her. I didn't return them. Then, just before midnight, a text lit up the screen. "You really filed?" Just like that? I stared at her text for a long time. No more spinning. No more games. So I wrote back. "You burned the house down. I just made sure you didn't walk away with the matches." No response. Not that night. Not the next day. But by Thursday, the unraveling began, publicly. Melissa sent me a screenshot. Don't ask me why she suddenly decided to play ally. Guilt, maybe. Or maybe she just loves the drama. Jess had posted a video to her Instagram story. Long tear-streaked. Shaky camera. Voice cracking in that perfectly rehearsed way. And then came that line, the one that made my fists clench. "I just feel like I was abandoned, like no matter how hard I tried, I wasn't enough." She was performing. Full mask. Lights on. Audience watching. I knew exactly what it was. Damage control. But I wasn't here to protect her image anymore. I was too busy saving myself. Friday morning, my phone rang. Her mom. Sandra. I almost didn't answer. Just stared at the screen, thumb hovering. That kind of curiosity where you know you might regret it, but you still tap accept. Sandra never called. Not even back when Jess and I were planning the wedding. It all got filtered through Jessica. Like she didn't want her family getting too close. So when I picked up and heard her voice, soft, uncertain, it caught me off guard. "Matt," she said, "I just wanted to ask if you're okay." There was a pause. I waited, unsure if this was a trap. "I saw Jessica's video," she added. "She's not doing well." I couldn't help it. I laughed, quiet, bitter. "Did she tell you why?" Silence. Then, "She told me you left out of nowhere. That you got cold." I let that hang in the air for a beat. "Did she also tell you about the man she's been sleeping with for months?" Another pause. Longer this time. "No," she said softly. "Of course not." So I told her. The whole story. No rage. No theatrics. Just the raw, ugly truth. Every lie. Every late night, she came home reeking of someone else. Every excuse she gave while glued to a glowing screen that wasn't meant for me. Sandra didn't interrupt. Not once. When I finished, she exhaled, long and heavy. "I knew something was wrong," she said. "She's been off. And mean. Not just to you." Sandra's voice had dropped when she said it. And I almost felt sorry for Jessica. Almost. "She wants attention," I told her. "Not forgiveness." Sandra didn't argue. She just sighed, then said something I never expected. "She's always been good at pretending she's the one who's hurt." That hung in the air. Heavy, sad, and honest. "I'm sorry, Matt," she added. "You didn't deserve that. And you don't have to talk to her if you don't want to." I thanked her. Ended the call. Then just sat there, staring at nothing. Feeling something I couldn't quite name. Validated, maybe. Or finally seen. By noon, the next text came in. "So you called my MOM now? Seriously?" Low blow. That was it. No follow-up. No reflection. Just more ego, bitter and cracking under the weight of being exposed. And that's when it finally clicked. She wasn't unraveling because she missed me. She was unraveling because I refused to play my part anymore. The part of the dependable, quiet husband. The one who swallowed her lies and smiled. The one who stayed, who made excuses, who thanked her for whatever little affection she rationed out. She needed me broken so she could be the strong one. But I wasn't broken. I was awake. That weekend, Nate and I pulled up to the house in a moving truck. I had a scheduled window through the lawyer. Tight, clean, legal. I wasn't giving her a single reason to cry harassment on social media. She wasn't there. Thank God. I boxed up the last of my things. A stack of books. My old watch. A few shirts she never liked. Said they weren't stylish enough. I took those too. Before I left, I paused in the bedroom doorway. Looked at the unmade bed. The dresser littered with her makeup. The closet, half empty, my side gone like I'd never been there. It didn't feel like home. It felt like a crime scene. And I wasn't the victim. I was the survivor. I walked out. Left my key on the counter. That house. That life. She could keep it. It wasn't mine anymore. A week passed after the move. 7 full days of silence. No texts. No calls. No cryptic Instagram sob stories. Just this eerie, calculated quiet, like she was holding her breath, loading the next move. And I knew better than to relax. Jessica never stayed quiet unless she was planning. Then, on day 8, she showed up. Again. But this time, it wasn't my brother's house. It was my job. She walked into the lobby like she belonged there. Heels clicking, sunglasses on, wearing confidence like body armor. She even smiled at the receptionist. My coworkers saw her before I even got the email from the front desk. Your wife's here to see you. I nearly choked on my coffee. I told them to send her away, but she was already in the elevator before I finished the sentence. So I stood there, bracing for impact, watching the floor numbers climb like a countdown on a bomb. Then, there she was, walking into my office like nothing had happened. Like we were still us. No apology. No hesitation. Just, we need to talk. In private. I stood, closed the door. Not for her comfort, mine. She sat down in the guest chair like she was running the meeting. You can't just keep ignoring me, Matt, she said. Breathless. Full wounded. Like she hadn't spent the last week playing the abandoned wife to her online fan club. I absolutely can, I replied. She flinched. So what, this is it? You're just gone. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. She leaned forward, voice cracking on cue. I made a mistake, okay? I panicked. I didn't know how to fix it. Ryan wasn't serious. He was never serious. You think I don't know that now? I raised an eyebrow. So what was it then? Fun. A break from being married to someone who paid the bills, showed up, and loved you for real. She looked down, silent. Then something unbelievable happened. She started to cry. Not the dramatic, mascara-smearing sobs from her Instagram story. These were quiet tears. Real? I don't know. With Jessica, everything had a motive. I hate who I've become, she whispered. But I hate this more. Not having you. Not hearing your voice. She looked up at me, eyes rimmed red. I miss you, Matt. I miss us. And I wanted to feel something. Anger. Sympathy. Longing. Anything. But I didn't. There was a time, God, there was a time, when I would have fallen for that. Taken her hand. Tried to piece back whatever shattered version of love we had left. But that time died the night she smirked at me and said I lost her because I wasn't enough. I leaned back in my chair. Calm. Steady. I don't miss you, I said. I miss the person I thought you were. And just like that, she was gone. She wiped her face with the sleeve of her overpriced cardigan, then stood up. You really think you'll be better off without me? I didn't blink. I already am. She lingered, just a second, like she was waiting for me to crack. Waiting for the old Matt to resurface, the one who always folded. I didn't. She turned, walked to the door, paused with her hand on the knob. When this blows up in your face, when you're alone, you'll remember this. And you'll regret it. I almost laughed. Jessica, I said, you were the only thing in my life I regret. The door clicked shut behind her, and I exhaled. For the first time in days, maybe weeks. The divorce was finalized 34 days after she walked out of my office. No delays. No drama. Just a signature, a handshake from my lawyer, and a clean break. She didn't contest a thing. Not the house. Not the car. Not even Cooper, though I had to push for shared custody. Her lawyer said she wasn't emotionally stable enough to care for him full-time. Honestly, that was the most truthful sentence in the entire process. The day the papers were signed, I took myself out to breakfast. Alone. No phone. No noise. Just eggs and coffee. Ordinary. Flavorless. But that wasn't the point. The point was the quiet. My quiet. Not the kind of silence that masks resentment. Not the kind that used to fill the air when I sat across from a woman who couldn't meet my eyes while she texted someone else beneath the table. This silence was mine, and it tasted better than anything I'd had in years. Jessica never reached out again. No call. No message. No last-ditch performance to reclaim the spotlight. I expected it, honestly. A voicemail. A letter. Some dramatic gesture. Something to haunt me. But it never came. And I think I know why. Because she knew. There was nothing left to twist. No guilt to manipulate. No soft landing to crawl back to. I was done. A week later, Nate and I went out for drinks. First time in a long time I laughed, without feeling like I was stealing someone else's joy. He raised his glass and smiled. To surviving the storm. I clinked my glass against his. To never walking into one blind again. You know the crazy part? I don't hate her. Not anymore. I hate what she did. I hate how effortless it was for her. I hate that I had to burn my whole life down just to feel clean again. But her? She's just a person. A broken one. The kind who cuts anyone who tries to hold them. The kind who turns love into leverage. And me? I'm just a guy who finally stopped bleeding for someone who never once said sorry. If you're reading this and you're in the thick of it, if you're waking up at 3 a.m., trying to convince yourself that what you saw wasn't what you saw, that the distance is just a phase, that the lies are just stress, stop. Look at what's in front of you. Not who you hope they are. Not who they used to be. But who they are right now. And if it hurts to look at, walk away. You'll heal. You'll breathe again. And one morning, without even realizing it, you'll wake up, and the first thing you feel won't be confusion, or doubt, or dread. It'll be peace. And damn, it's worth everything.